You're gonna like the name of my idea that I've got cooking up here. Moving on, my my idea that I'd like to bring forward, and particularly I want to hear your thoughts on if this is feasible. Like I'd pay like, maybe like $5 a month for this type of thing. So the name of it is Can I Afford That? And I'm talking about a consumer facing app that kind of playing off of the same thing that we've seen with all of these budgeting apps. There's YNAB, and then there was mint.com. But I feel like they're just such a pain to use because you've got to look at all these like spreadsheets and there's so much information to digest. The point of, can I afford that is just give that information to an app like, the bank account, credit card, so you can see the spending of the user and everything. And then just turn that into a very simple interface where somebody just says like, this is the dollar amount of the thing that I'm trying to buy right now. This is what I'm trying to buy. Can I afford that? And then you just get a simple instant. You basically just say yes, no, or maybe. And then, have three different colors associated with that and just quickly give people an answer on like, hey, no, like you cannot afford that $1,800 Canada Goose jacket. You just bought another one last month. Like, what are you doing? Then maybe on the yes side, there's just a yes where I think this is where I would pay for this is because sometimes I actually need somebody to say like, yes, you can afford this. Because, if you sort of suffer from just like being able to make quick decisions for whatever reason, sometimes I'll be in the grocery store and I'll be looking at a literal pack of gum and I'm like, can I can I afford this pack of gum? Like, yes, you can afford the pack of gum. Buy it. You could buy 1,000 of these things this year and you'd be fine. Like just grab it. You might need to use a large language model or something like that to make it into a more complex like, hey, maybe you can buy this, but you need to limit it so that you don't buy it this many times this year or else you're going to like blow a bunch of money on it. So, that's kind of the more complex side of it, but you could just start it out with a simple MVP just being yes or no. So, yeah, my question to you, Thomas, is just like, how would this get built? And like, is it feasible to build? Can I afford that?
I mean, it's super cool. I've struggled with budgeting for a long time, especially when I was deep in my startup days and I was trying to make every penny count. The way I think about this is I think about you need to build really three things. You need to build the collection tool. This is the tool that is taking all of your different financial information and processing, or at least storing it within a database. That is challenging, not necessarily from the technical aspect, but from the human aspect, right? I need to make sure that I'm constantly collecting all of your information. We can automate this to a certain amount so we could connect your bank accounts over with Plaid. Understanding all of your purchases is difficult without that context, right? So you can make 18 different purchases on Amazon and they're going to show up on your credit card receipt as Amazon. So now you need to upload your receipts and your invoices and you need to be pretty fastidious. And like we have tools that can connect your purchase to the receipt automatically. You mainly see this for business accounting more than you see it for personal accounting, right? Because obviously there are tax benefits and you need to be able to report at the end of the year how well your company is doing financially and hopefully you're not underwater. But there is still like the hardest part here is that human element, like because nothing is connected. Collecting those receipts that have all of that really valuable context is important. So that's the first piece that you would need to build or source or find. The second piece, and this is something that you'd have to build because I would think that this is your secret sauce. This is like the truly difficult part to do well, is to build your model. So can I afford this is a very subjective question. It depends not only on your expenses and your real hard costs and what you're spending, It also depends on what are your goals. Like, what are you trying to do with your life? This extra money, is this going to retirement? Is this saving for a house? Is this for a car? What are you comfortable? What are your comfort levels? What is your risk tolerance? All of these things are subjective, and you need to collect this from the user because you have to be working towards something. And you need to find a way to analyze that database and compare it to these goals to make sure that you are meeting those goals, right? And that is going to require a lot of just sitting down and planning and mapping out, right? Even from just a product level. Let's not even worry about technical at that point. Let's figure out that product piece, right? Because this is not something you're going to be updating necessarily every day. You're going to update this once or twice. And then it's going to sit there until you come back and do a check-in and do a gut check and say, hey, am I meeting my goals? Am I not meeting my goals? Have my goals changed? Is there something massive that has happened in my life that is going to change my financial situation? Right? Addition of a new family member, loss of a job, gaining of a new job. These things are going to need to be updated relatively regularly, but not all the time. And then the third piece is probably the easiest piece. And that is just the interface where you're giving the data about what it is you want to buy and getting a response back. And it's like, can you do it? Or the next step being, can you do it and why you should or should not do it, right? Because an answer could be, yes, Josh, you can afford that gum. But what is the opportunity cost of that? By buying that gum, you are saving less for retirement, right? Or this is going to put you back, I don't know, X minutes on getting that house or that big purchase that you want to make, right? Which would be a really cool little anecdote, but is kind of that final interface that you would be interacting with on a daily basis that needs to be really easy for you to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. So it sounds like it probably wouldn't be the cheapest or easiest thing to build.
So the answer is I would need to look and see. Once again, this comes down to third-party providers because the fun thing about fintech is that a lot of people have built out the different pieces, right? And it could very well be that the whole first third of that, which was the database collection, that is most likely actually already done, right? And at that point, there is definitely still some work, but you can probably do that with a solid team of engineers within a couple of months if you've taken the time to really plan it out. So it's definitely doable, but yeah, we would need to do more research on that.
Taking engineering aside, I just got like probably one of the most controversial, but like definitely viral app experience for this. Instead of the user or like an AI model kind of interpreting the subjective interpretation of like, can you afford that? You make it a social app. And on your profile, you dedicate either like a circle of close friends or maybe it's like your family members. And then they have a view of like how much cash you have on this app. And then they tell the app whether if you can afford that or not.
I mean, do you want your family judging your finances constantly?
Some people,
I guess you can pick who though, right? Like you're not saying it has to be family. Like it just anybody that you choose. So it could be an advisor. It could be an official advisor as well, who is,
I don't know.
into
I
that.
kind of like the public shaming of everyone in your immediate circle can look at your purchases and be like, Runda, you can't afford that. What are you even thinking throwing that up
yeah.
there?
And then I might just go against your wishes if I truly couldn't afford that, but like I would buy that anyways. That's just like a public voting.
And then you need like a brag button. You need to be able to like shout that out. It's like I ignored all of
See, I did afford it.
Look, I bought it anyways. I financed it.
Cause like that's what's interesting about like at least like finances is just that the social norms is to keep it personal and private. But like, what's the greatest thought back on how Venmo got viral? It was the public payments of transactions that you're sending transactions to friends, and then you can actually see how much who sent to who, even though it's random strangers. So if you make it whatever is controversial or like kind of thought provoking in that experience, maybe you would actually have the core loyal customer base initially to just like hop on and test it around, just to show that, oh yeah, hey mom, I really was able to buy this couch, and then now I'm $500 in debt.
Okay, so actually, now that I'm thinking about it and I'm processing it, there's this really interesting like synonymous type piece here, right? Where, hey, look, guys, I have an issue with spending, with gambling, with whatever, right? I need help. I'm reaching out to you guys to help support me and motivate me to make good financial decisions, right? Now we've twisted it, right, from being public shaming, which I think is its own fun type of thing, but like to, okay, we're really going to support someone that we really care about in starting to make good decisions around their lives. And it also allows people, providers, to be able to step in and support if they see someone is going down the wrong route, right? Like to the best that they can, right? They now know, oh, look, I've been looking at your spending, and I know that in a short little while, I'm going to have to step in and I'm going to have to help because I care, right? And so that's another, I think, like twist on this that is just a rebranding exercise with the same core tool. I think I like that a lot.
Yeah, the idea is really just rooted in the idea that there's if a third party can help you make a decision faster on something. Whether that may be a real person or, sometimes, you know, I think like for a large purchase, like this already exists. Just go onto Reddit and you'll find all of these sub communities about personal finance, and you'll see tons of people going in and saying, I'm thinking about buying a new car. Should I do this or should I not? A lot of people just really get a kick out of being involved in someone else's like big life decision. So they will usually these are pretty active threads where you'll have like, dozens of people giving their insights to a complete anonymous stranger, just saying like, okay, well, do you have any credit card debt? Where do you live? Why do you need this car? You end up just getting a lot of info from there. But yeah, I guess like just for what also matters though is the really small decisions like the packs of gum and the coffees and stuff like that, where they're too far on one side where they're just blowing like actually concerning amounts of money on these like little treats that they get for themselves. But then on the other hand, there's also a lot of people who are just like overly frugal, and it's just like, listen, like this purchase that you're thinking over right now has absolutely no bearing on your financial future. Like, don't worry about it, just buy it. I really like tools that help just like make decisions faster. That's where I was coming from.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely something here. I think it's a really cool idea. I've been looking for a tool like this for a while. One of the things, if I were to go and try and launch this and build this, is I'd want to know like why this doesn't already exist. Right? Because I know like mint.com is a great example. I want to know why. Like I haven't looked deep into that. I tried using them for a while. I used a couple of other tools, but it was always for me, the hardest part was that hassle of constantly needing to update them with the different things. If you're not doing it, then you don't have an accurate snapshot of your financial situation.
Yeah, they're just too bloated. There's a lot of things on the market. Like I think Mint, they probably just realized it wasn't feasible to run it because they weren't charging for it. But now there's a lot of paid things on the market that seem like they're quite popular. I feel like there's just should be something that is a less, intense snapshot where, you've got pie charts and grids and line graphs and everything, which is cool, but me personally, I'm overwhelmed by it. I don't want that. I just want a simple yes or no in the moment. Almost as if like if I was like a billionaire, then I could probably, just hire someone to do this for me. And I'm sure that this is a job that exists for people who serve like, very wealthy clients, to just tell them like, yes, you can or can't afford this thing. But if there's a way to bring that experience to just normal people, then everybody would be making just probably much easier decisions on things and like doing less stupid stuff with their money. Nobody said like, hey, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, Josh just want the lifestyle experience of a billionaire.
I mean, nice thing is when you have personal accountant money, you're not sweating those coffees or those bubble gums.
Yeah, 100%. Like, yeah, if you're already like getting this service, then those little things won't matter. But there are still people who need to hear that because I mean, how many creators are going on the internet? These like finance creators, and they're just they love to just shame young people into being like, you go to Starbucks every day and you have avocado toast. That's why you don't have any money. But no young person is going to connect with someone older than them telling that, oh, like you should just be saving your money on these things. It's like, hey, rent was like 1/4 of what it is right now. Like when you did this, like we're in a complete different world now. So, the answers from 20 years ago are definitely not the same answers from right now. The more that people say like, oh, young people shouldn't be like having these little like treats that they get, that in itself is just like making the culture like even stronger. And now people are just like, man, like every purchase that I make is a bad purchase. So whatever, like I'm just going to make any purchase I want.
When the system is so against you and you can't afford to live anyway, right? Then what does it matter if you make one more bad financial decision? It's just another drop in the bucket of the hole that you're digging yourself into. If you're making less than a living wage anyway, and you don't know whether you're going to have to choose between feeding yourself and rent, then at some point, right? Like there's this despair there. Like you can't go to someone who is making 30K, 35K in a high cost of living city and say, well, don't you buy those coffees? You're not going to be able to save. Like they're set up for failure at that point. And so we need to figure out how do we deal with that as a society, because you can have as many budgeting apps as you want. But I mean, for those types of people, it'll be a very easy thing. Is this a luxury? You probably can't afford it, but maybe you want to get it anyway because that cup of coffee brings you joy and helps get you through the day.
Yeah. Okay, well, I am really happy with the feedback you gave there. I think this is an interesting one, and it also sounds like, if you think it could get built in a couple months, then that means that if someone who's out there that does have the capital to, get something like this built, it's not like a super low-hanging fruit idea, but you could definitely charge people $5 to $10 per month for something like this. And it's definitely a mass market idea that you could probably push on, like just on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, like product that could just be inherently viral because it's like, hey, basically live like a billionaire, but you could actually be totally broke. Like even if you're sweating $1 purchases, like this is for you.